think the movie Gangs of New York is just about some white beef from the Five Points? No. It is showing you an occupation in real time. Long before those boats ever arrived, the Lenape, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Cherokee, the Seminole, the Mohawk, the Narragansett, and the Washita, who were the original Moorish tribes, were right here ruling and defending their own land with allodial sovereignty. Look at the walls. That is not set design. It is documentation. DiCaprio walks past framed indigenous Moors clueless to the fezzes, turbans, and liberty caps. Those images are there to tell you that so-called black people were already established in New York long before the manufactured white origin story ever got. In fact, the name New York itself traces back to York, a Moorish indigenous black man whose role in early America gets deliberately minimized. He was a guide, pathfinder, and diplomat, leading Europeans through forests and territories they did not know how to survive in. There are statues of York today, most notably in Portland, Oregon, and Washington Park. Standing tall is a rare public commemoration of an indigenous black man who shaped American geography before the corporate rewrite. Now look at Tammany Hall. That was not politics, that was an occupation headquarters. The name itself comes from Tamanend, the Lenape chief, literally tan man in a hat, a direct reference to the Moorish fez. The name Manhattan itself is Tai Tamanend, tan man in a hat. Look at the first city hall, the 44 Union Square. That symbol at the top is the Lenape Moorish fez stamped into stone, marking the Moorish origin of the ground the whole corrupt system was built on. Boss Tweed ran New York like a captured city, robbing it through ballots, debt, and legal paperwork instead of open warfare. Tweed was described as the most corrupt man on earth, a killer whose methods and science were later studied and adopted by Hitler and Nazi Germany. This history is so sensitive that if you mention Boss Tweed or Tammany Hall to a lawyer today, they will shut up, because those names represent the true corrupt origin of the current legal system. That whole 5 Points zone, Canal Street, Tribeca, Greenwich Village, was known as Little Africa, Lenape land, and the Lenape were Moors. The Bowery Boys occupied the entrance to Broadway on Wall Street, specifically to terrorize the original Moors out of their territory. They acted as street-level enforcers, terrorizing the original Moorish population until they could be reclassified as Indian, Negro, or contraband to strip the original inhabitants of their international standing and steal their allodial land titles, to box us into the 14th Amendment slave status and facilitate the takeover of our estates. The Lenape were Moors, and they were already living, organizing, and owning the land long before the immigrant influx. The very trails they used for travel became Broadway, and their underground trails were expanded to become the New York City subways, showing that reality would collapse the immigrant turf war myth. That was a calculated population replacement strategy. They shipped in Slavic and Slovenian populations as weaponized labor under the Transportation Act, which was a legal form of white slavery. These immigrants were handed guns and uniforms to fight in recovery wars like the Civil War, to seize land from the indigenous Moorish proprietors. The rampant savagery manufactured by these gangs provided the perfect pretext to establish the NYPD, which was formed not for public safety, but to act as militarized catchers and enforcers for the municipal corporate state. By the end of the film, as that corporate skyline rises over the graves, you are looking at a parasitic city built directly on top of Moorish sovereignty. So again, the movie Gangs of New York is not about gangs fighting for survival. It is about how America was reorganized, how people were imported to take land from indigenous people, how black presence was buried, and how a corporate city was built on top of Moorish sovereignty. The movie shows the violence. The walls show the truth, and the absence of black people tells you everything they don't want you to ask. The Bowery Boys, the Dead Rabbits, and the 40 Thieves weren't just products of urban poverty. They were manufactured tools of an occupational force, imported and positioned to clear both the land and the ancestral memory of the original inhabitants.